Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Beware of that profound enemy of the free enterprise system who pays lip service to free competition but labels every antitrust prosecution as a persecution. Those words are uttered by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt 90 years ago. And I've listened to most of today's hearing, Madam Chair, and of course we're grateful that you're here today. I've listened to many of the criticisms that have been made by my colleagues of your leadership at the FTC on the other side of the aisle. Not all my colleagues, but most of them. And the vast majority of these criticisms have nothing to do with your ethics or your integrity or your approach to the job, and everything to do with corporate power and the realities that you have pursued your duties as the chairwoman of the FTC in a way that puts the best interests of the consumers first. And that is a new approach at the FTC. I don't want to belabor the point because I have some substantive questions for you, but I'll ask for unanimous consent later at the conclusion of my remarks and our colloquy here for an article in the Wall Street Journal from June 30th, 2023, the headline of which is Ethics Official Owned Meta Stock While Recommending FTC Chair Recuse Herself from Meta Case. We've spent a great deal of time hearing my colleagues talk about this particular issue. I will just simply echo the comments made by my colleague from Colorado and my friend, Mr. Buck, who I thought spoke very powerfully on this front. Only in Washington, D.C., can an individual, a regulator, who has no financial interest in the merger before her, be accused of an ethics violation by members of Congress who own financial, or have rather financial interests in the company that has petitioned for that, or is rather proceeded with that particular merger that is under review by the FTC, on the basis of an opinion that was issued that didn't conclude that there would be a per se ethics violation for the commissioner in question to proceed with considering the matter, but nonetheless opined that there would be an appearance of impropriety, and of course that individual having a financial interest in the company that was involved in the merger. And I'm not commenting, I agree with Ms. Jayapal, on the propriety of the decisions made by the ethics individual or the ethics department more broadly. I'm simply opining on the state of affairs in Washington, D.C. Because for years we've had FTC commissioners who had real conflicts of interest. You didn't have any financial interest in Meta, right?
That's correct.
You've never worked for Meta?
That's correct.
The basis, as I understand it, for the objections by many of my colleagues and others is that you have a certain view when it comes to putting consumers first and ensuring that monopolistic power does not reign supreme in our country. And I just think it's unfortunate that some of my colleagues have taken that approach. I will say for my part, I'm grateful for the work that you have done at the department. I also am grateful for the work that your partners and of course, other antitrust enforcement regulators, the Assistant Attorney General Cantor has done over the course of the last several years. We, as you know, passed a bill on a bipartisan basis last year. It was my bill, the Merger Filing Fee Modernization Act, which I believe is going to strengthen your efforts and your ability and the efforts of your hard-working workforce within the FTC by changing the fee schedule for mergers, actually decreasing the fees for smaller mergers, but increasing the fees proportionally for billion-dollar transactions and giving you the resources that you need to fight for consumers on behalf of the American public. I wonder if you might talk a bit about that particular bill, its implementation, and the impact it will have on agency resources.
Thanks for the question, and thanks for your effort leading that bill. It was a much overdue effort to update the filing fees, and as you noted, make it clear that for larger transactions, there is a higher fee, for smaller transactions, a lower fee. We, in part, rely on those fees to be able to fund our enforcement, and so that's absolutely going to be making a difference.
Well, as I said, I'm grateful for the approach that you all are taking. I was proud to work on that bill with Representative Buck, who has been a champion on these issues, among other colleagues of mine on both sides of the aisle, and I think we look forward to continuing our work with you, Madam Chair, for years to come on this front. With that, I will yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
I thank the chairman.